leads in Hollywood for a long time. And of course, I would love to do something with like Eva Longoria. She's got a production company, J-Lo, John
Yeah.
Leguizamo. I'd love to work with Rosie Perez again. I mean, there's so many incredible Latin talents. Even George Lopez got a show now, and I would love to be able to do stuff like that. And here's why I say it. I had something first time my career happened last year. It just aired in January. I did Fantasy Island. And it's a scripted show,
Yeah.
harkening back to the 80s version. And I played a guy going to a bachelor party with two friends. And I don't know who they are, but I get there to set, and I see they're two Latin guys. First time in my entire career that I ever got to work with other Latin actors as friends. Because normally we were all sharing, we're the token Latin in the friend group. And it's not uncommon for a group of white friends, maybe even a group of black friends, but like for Latinos, like it's very rare that we could, be seen that way. So like
That's
part of me
true.
wants to do a Latin family show, yeah, we'll see what comes down the pipeline. But at this age, now it's time to create original content. And I'm really inspired by people like Billy Eichner and Joel Kim, who said, no, I got a story to tell. I'm going to tell it my way. And I feel like the next wave and chapter is for more, Latin queer stories, where maybe I don't need my queerness to be the central storyline, but I'm ready for that next chapter of visibility because our stories are so underrepresented for as many of us as there are.
I would agree with that. What about, since we are sitting here in this studio in WeHo, did you watch Real Friends of WeHo?
I didn't go near it at all because I know some people on there, and I feel like going back to Housewives, it's really hard for me to watch people maybe at their worst moments being, I didn't want that to tarnish my view of them. But also I understand you get that check, and I'm sure how it's pitched to people, I don't know for certain. I was pitched something like this.
I was going to say,
and I
were
wonder,
you pitched
I
this?
could have been. There was this woman who works on Drag Race who I think approached me about this, a group of successful gay friends in WeHo, and immediately no, because you use your real life and then allow people to criticize it. And a show like that, if it's meant to be like Housewives, it's expected to have juicy conflict. And, there's people on there that I, like James has been a longtime friend that I adore. I wouldn't want to fake something like that. And I just, so I just don't watch that kind of content because it makes me anxious. And also, I wouldn't have been a good cast member because I am constantly diffusing fires. And there would need to be some accelerant cast members that would amplify those fires. And I'm not that guy. So I didn't watch it, but I was at Drag Race in WeHo the first time the trailer was played. And the booming booing was very indicative of an audience of regulars that did not recognize the people on camera as their peers in that space. So I'm going to include myself as someone of privilege because of, so you have these privileged cast. I can include myself in that thing because not about finances, but visibility and also being successful. But I think I think what the people in the room felt like, we are the real friends of WeHo. Like, we don't even know some of these people personally. We don't see them in our spaces often. We don't see them as active members of our community. Some of them may be, but they're such in the upper echelon that I think there was a disconnect. And I feel like, for me, I was just in Palm Springs and I was like, I would have probably watched it if it was a group of unknown seniors in WeHo, going through some of the same life issues, and how we meter success shouldn't always be about how Hollywood validates success. And I, so many of those guys on those shows, I was a fan of. The TikTok star, I used to follow him. I don't know if I haven't seen him come up in a while. But he's really funny. James is so kind and lovely. Todrick, full of scandal, but a great performer. I don't know some of the other people. Oh, Curtis, great actor, big heart, kind guy. I didn't know the beauty guy was fantastic, seems like. But
And
I was
Brad
like, I don't want to
Goreski.
see, and Brad, he seems lovely, but again, super successful.
Husband that's really successful too.
Right.
Gary.
So I don't know. I was trying to guess, and I was asking people, and I think they just felt like they didn't seem like one of us was their response.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I'll say gay men like to see women of privilege, but have a hard time. Maybe it's inner homophobia of what I seeing that reflected in queerness, and maybe we don't like to see each other bicker, gay men. I don't know where that boils down to or why there was such a visceral response to the show, but I knew that there were people on the show that, you know, were offered this great opportunity, and I know what that's like to get something. You're like, oh God, a job and visibility, and I'm sure, you know, like first of it, all these terms were probably thrown at them, and they thought it was going to be better received. And it never feels good to be a part of something. Listen, Bros, Uncoupled, both got negative feedback by certain aspects of the community, while others loved it. So I understand personally what that's like. But it's just not a medium that I can comfortably watch without being like, oh my God, don't fight. You know?
When this MTV person called you, what did she say? Just a group
She
of
just
six? I
DM'd
mean,
me.
that sounds like this show.
Yeah, I don't. I was looking for the message. I think it was basically like, and it could. There was a couple of shows like this pitched, but so I don't want to say that I was up for this one specifically. But it was about a group of successful, and it was a real. And I was like, no, anything docu, following me around, having to pretend that my life is more fabulous than it is. You know, from the little I've seen of those shows, I don't have that lifestyle. I don't have the Brad lifestyle. I'm not, you know, hosting New Year's Eve like James is. I'm not touring big spaces like Todrick Hall is. I don't have a successful skincare line. If anything, I would probably be on par with Curtis's journey because we're both out actors in Hollywood. But you know, I think I would have been too yeah, I wouldn't want to have done that. And it's not shade to them. It's just I don't even watch Housewives, so how could I watch the gay equivalent?
Are you shocked at where Bravo is? You know, like it was a little network that really Queer Eye started, other than inside the actor studio.
You know, look, I think Andy Cohen has had a really fascinating eye for projecting what the future would look like. Queer Eye set up the network to be a show that highlights different tenets of aspirational living. And then they went into the Housewives franchise. That exploded for them. You know, a part of me wants to be on another Bravo show, but in the way that we were, where it's a kind, you know, thing and funny and exciting in its own way. Because I feel like that would be like a homecoming to do something with Bravo, and maybe they'll do something with the original OGs. We don't want to repeat Queer Eye, but we'd love to work together again. But I'm not surprised that they found their brand, they found their voice. And, you know, they have great content that isn't about table flipping and weave pulling, so...
They do. Yeah, they do. Are you guys going to do anything for the anniversary?
We have not been asked or approached, and it took a number of years to get us all on the same page to be like, yeah, I would love to do something. And now we're all there, and there isn't anyone like drumming the bell. So maybe the 25th anniversary at the wait 5 years. But I know we all want to do something together again. You know, so we'll see. I mean, at this point, I think it's probably better to